Today we're looking at a nifty 50, although it's not particularly nifty, but it is a 50. Hi guys, Matt here. Welcome to the Sigma 50 Art 1.4 DG HSM lens. Let's take a step back a second. When it comes to photography, we all love our small, compact, nifty 50 lenses. 50mm 1.4 lenses, they come in all shapes and sizes. Here we have the Nikon SC 51.4. I still need to do a review on that. Feel free to subscribe. Next, we have the Leica Summilux-SL 51.4 M, and then we have the new Sigma 51.4 Art lens. All three lenses have the same thing in common. They are 51.4 lenses, which I've used in my Leica cameras to take my portrait photos. So why is this lens so different? Why is it so huge? The main difference is Sigma lenses are autofocus and Leica M lenses are manual focus. This isn't really a fair test because I should be comparing the Sigma Art 51.4 to the Leica Summilux-SL 51.4. Both of those lenses are autofocus and both of those lenses are much larger. Sigma UK kindly sent me this lens to test when I also received the much smaller Sigma 24 DG-DN contemporary lens. If you want something smaller from Sigma, definitely check out my video on the 24 lens and I'll link that at the end. And before we move on, are all new fast 50mm lenses massive? The answer is no. This is the Voigtlander 50 f1.0 and you can see it less than half the size compared to the Sigma. This is 51.0, this is 51.4, so in theory this should be bigger than this, but because this has got the autofocus motors, that's going to make this lens both bigger and heavier. In terms of weight, just to give you some kind of a comparison, the Sigma weighs 905 grams or 32 ounces, so that's 2 times heavier than the 51.0 Nocturne. See my playlist if you want to see a review of this lens. This lens is fantastic. One point I should have mentioned at the start, this is an L mount lens, so that means it can be used on cameras like the Leica CL, although it's a bit oversized. I will show you some sample images in a second. I did use this combination. You can use it on full frame Panasonic cameras such as the Lumix S5, my video camera. Again, it's a slightly better balance on the Lumix, but perhaps for Leica shooters, you're probably better putting it on an SL or an SL2. So that's how it looks on the Leica SL, and the good news is this will fit into a compact Billingham Hadley digital bag if that's a bag that you carry. So it just fits into a smaller bag designed for a smaller Leica M or say Leica 3 cameras that I use. Before we jump into some sample photos, just a few things I want to mention. And like many of the M mount lenses from Leica Voigtlander Zeiss, this has rounded aperture blades, meaning you're going to get round bokeh balls at all f-stops. You can also see the multi-coating on this lens, and this makes it much more flare resistant than some of the other fast 50s. I'm also testing currently the TT Artisan's 50 0.95. This lens flares much more than the Sigma. Hit subscribe and turn on your notifications because this lens review is also coming, and this is a really interesting lens at a really good price. And before we move on, if you're wondering quite how large this is a 77mm thread for anybody trying to get a visual of how large it is. Okay, let's now look at some photos. So first, here's me during one of my Leica workshops. I took the Leica SL with the Sigma 51.4 to kind of test it out. I think it arrived that morning. Found it's really quite useful for product photos or maybe like lifestyle photos. So unlike Leica M lenses, which focused as close as 0.7 meters, the Sigma 51.4 focuses as close as 0.4 meters. You can create some really nice shallow depths of field arty style like food photos or camera photos or whatever you're into. In terms of sharpness, this lens is super sharp. I would say to my eyes it is probably as sharp as any of the lenses I've tested, but saying that, I haven't yet tested the Leica Summilux-SL 51.4. If you're tempted to buy this lens, I'd definitely look to use it wide open, because otherwise I'd recommend people buy these smaller DG-DN contemporary lenses, which are all f2 lenses. Using this lens wide open, it's really beautiful for portraits. It gives you a very nice shallow depth of field and beautiful rendering. The eyes are really sharp when you get them in focus, and it gives pleasing out of focus elements with round bokeh balls. In terms of colours, I think the colours are natural and true to life, and depending on if you use presets like myself, if you add a preset you can either have them vibrant or more muted to your taste. Here is me testing the lens on the APS-C Leica CL camera. It is a bit too big for me for the Leica CL, and with a 1.5 crop it's going to give you a 75mm equivalent. That said, it can still take really nice pictures, and the extra compression might help you for the photo you're trying to create. And here's some more photos shot with the Leica SL camera. First, in a backlit environment, it does give you very dreamy looking photos if you live somewhere where you get kind of nice backlight. We then came inside and I tested the lens with flash. See my kits list, link below this video if you want to see the lighting equipment that I use. And finally back outside to use the rest of the daylight. So I guess the question is, who is this lens best suited to? If you like small compact lenses, I'd probably skip this. And if you still need autofocus, look at the DGDN lenses, the f2 lenses. If you need autofocus and you want fast lenses, this lens will do everything you expect it to do. The HSM motor makes the lens pretty much silent, so it's not like the old autofocus lenses which make lots of noise. And that said, the autofocus feature can be a pro and a con. Yes, you can turn off your autofocus, but for me, what's the point in having a massive fat autofocus lens if you're not going to use the autofocus? You may as well just use a small compact manual focus lens. My pet peeve with autofocus is you're relying on the computer and the camera to get the focus that you're trying to hit. So you can see here the lens missing the focus point and actually focusing on the fingers. Therefore, it's a bin photo. And then to test how easy the autofocus is for, say, a newbie, I gave the model the camera and asked them to point the camera at me. As you can see here, the lens autofocus on my eye, which is good. And secondly, here's another model, Amy, using the camera. First photo, the autofocus completely missed and we just got a blurred image. Second photo, she did manage to get a shot. So autofocus is a love-hate thing probably. If you need autofocus for your eyesight, then you'll probably like this lens. But personally, I much prefer the smaller metal and glass lenses such as Voigtlander and Leica lenses. And so with that said, can I recommend the Sigma 50 1.4? Yes, if you want image quality and are not bothered about size, and if you want autofocus. As I say, I've not done a direct comparison to Leica SL lenses, but I think it will give you much of the functionality at a much lower price. And talking of price, how much do these lenses cost? If you're looking in the UK, you can buy this lens on Amazon for £928. And for those of you in the US, you can find it on B&H for $949. If you're happy to buy second hand, you can find it in MPB for £449. So almost half price to give you some idea. And talking of cheaper lenses, this lens is 4 to 5 times cheaper than the Leica Summilux-SL 50 1.4. So the Leica Summilux-SL is £4,400 or $5,995. So when you look at it like that, the Sigma offers great value for money. If you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button. And as always, a massive thanks to my patrons. If you're looking for an autofocus lens for your L mount camera, definitely check out my video on the Sigma DGDN lenses. They are smaller, yet still offer the autofocus. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.